Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of NFA Live, joined as ever by Ben from Into the Cryptoverse. Ben, welcome from the tundra that is where you're living at, the slice and cold weather.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, a guy also visiting us from, are you in the UAE or are you back in UK?
I'm in the UAE, yeah. Nice and warm here. Well, a little chilly in the evenings, but yeah, much warmer than where you guys are, I imagine.
Yeah, not too bad. All right, well, today we're going to talk about a lot of stuff. First, we're going to talk about Ben's favorite topic, which is meme coins. And we're going to talk about the Trump coin, but it's not so much about the meme itself. It's just about what does it say for the Trump administration? What does that say for us and our crypto market about what actually went on? So we're going to take a look at that. We're also going to ask I think the important question, which is, I think people are pretty bearish, it seems like. And I want to see if we're actually almost topped out here and what the data says. We'll also take a look at some macro stuff. Jobless claims are up. And then lastly, we'll talk about Roth IRA being free and going from there. So if you're not aware, or I don't know why you wouldn't do this, but if you haven't followed Ben from Into the Cryptoverse, his channel, there's a link in the description. Also, there's a great website, Into the Cryptoverse as well, which I steal from constantly and talk about that on my channel. Links in the description, you can check it out. Also, you can check out Guy from Coin Bureau and more Coin Bureau and Coin Bureau Trading and Coin Bureau Espanol. So just take your pick. There's quite a bit of them, and they're all fantastic channels. I personally have been watching more of the Coin Bureau Espanol to pick up more of my Spanish. So great channels, Guy, great channels. So let's talk about it.
Gracias.
De nada. So for this one, we're taking a look at what is going on with the Trump administration. And before we go forward, I know people, if you're not going to watch this this video to the end, but just so you know, like when I talk about the Trump effect and there's a little bit of chaos, it's because that's what Trump brings. And the reason why he's bringing that is because you have to upend the prior administration. And it's not a very easy process. So if you're happy with the Biden administration, fine. If you're happy with the Trump administration, fine. But just know it's going to be chaotic for a little bit of time to push through what he wants to do. So the question is this a Trump effect? And this morning, I mean, we were almost below 100K, as a matter of fact. We've got a little bit of reduction across the board. And that's actually of him fulfilling one of his first day tasks, which is freeing Roth IRA. So we'll take a look. But just to give perspective, as far as like the Trump effect, this is from November 3rd. We had the election just a couple of days later. This is what the price of Bitcoin was. It was 68,741. Ethereum was 2,400. BNB was 550. Solana was 162. XRP was 50 cents. So if we're taking a look at that, it is what it is. But this is the thing. The Trump token, which you can see over the last 7 days, went ballistic. Then, unfortunately, they also launched Melania, MEMECOIN, which has done absolutely nothing. So the question I have for you gentlemen is this: what does this reveal about the Trump administration and the crypto market in general? And do you think meme coins are something that is actually good to invest into, and why not? So I'll start with Guy on this one. We'll see what we got.
Ooh. Well, I guess I think in answer to the first part of your question, what does it say about the Trump administration? I think the answer is that it reminds us just how unpredictable Donald Trump is. And, you know, that's part of his, as far as I can gather, that's kind of part of his whole thing when it comes to, you know, being president. And I think that's his approach to sort of foreign policy, isn't it? Like people don't know what he's going to do. So he kind of, he thrives on that. You know, that's part of that. That's what gives him so much of his appeal. And I guess, if you like, so much of his leverage, because people genuinely think that he may do something crazy because he's so unpredictable. He's so hard to call. So I think this kind of meme coin thing is a part of that. And it reminds us that, yeah, we probably, as an industry, we probably will get a lot of what we want from Trump and his administration, in terms of a regulatory framework for crypto, in terms of a more open environment for crypto in the United States. But you know, that will not come probably in the way that we imagine it. There will be sort of bumps along the road. There will be unexpected twists and turns, and I think Trump meme coin is a classic first example of that. No one saw that coming. At least I don't think any. I certainly didn't. And yeah, so it reminds us that he's unpredictable, and I think that is going to stoke a lot of volatility. I think that's going to stoke even more sort of swings of emotion like we're seeing at the moment. You know, Bitcoin's over 100K. This is great. You know, like a couple of weeks ago, it was languishing in the 90s and everyone was capitulating. Then it went back up. Now everyone's fed up again. I think it kind of underlines just how just how wildly sentiment can swing in this market. But yeah, Trump and his team are unpredictable, so we need to plan accordingly for that. We need to be ready for that sort of stuff to happen. What does it say about us as an industry? I mean, what's interesting is that, as I understand it, a lot of the people who have aped into, particularly the Trump one, not so much the Melania one, but particularly the Trump one. I mean, this has apparently brought a lot of new people into crypto, and a lot of new people on chain, because we saw what downloads of the Phantom wallet, etc., go absolutely skywards when the thing launched, because obviously centralized exchanges didn't had to kind of scramble to get it launched. They couldn't be as quick as obviously on chain. So in a way, that's a good thing, right? It brought more people into the ecosystem. It brought more people into crypto. Some of them will stick around and do other stuff. I think it shows a certain, I don't know, I'm almost tempted to say a certain contempt for the industry because I don't think this is, Trump himself, I don't think he's aware of it, obviously, because like now an enormous amount of his wealth is tied up in it. But I don't think really has much to do with it other than having his name on it, like he has his name on various skyscrapers and God knows what else. So I think that kind of indicates that there's people in his team, there's people behind this coin who are fairly sort of contemptuous for crypto. It's like, well, here we go. Here's an easy way to make money. We got a product, people are going to buy it, and of course they did. So I don't think it's easy to see both positives and negatives. The positives, like I say, it's bringing more people in. It's certainly got people talking about crypto. The negatives, I think it's reinforced a lot of people's opinions of the space. I think it's, a lot of people will have long been saying, well, crypto is just a casino. There's nothing useful there. It's all meme coins and stuff. And what does the last few days do to change their minds on that? So yeah, it's a bit of both, really. It's glass half full and glass half empty. I mean, I think really probably the Trump meme coin alone was more than enough. I think the Melania meme coin, that was too much. That signaled it was just like, oh God, here we go. So yeah, I think any goodwill that there might have been, I think a lot of people were like, oh well, Trump, this is he's a crypto guy. And when the Melania coin came along, everyone was just like, oh, he's taking us for fools.
Yeah, it's well said. When I look at it, I thought to myself in the very beginning, I'm like, oh, okay, we're just kind of getting into it and we'll see how it goes. Maybe you can kind of like pass it off as like a commemorative type of token. Everybody wants like a commemorative aspect of like, this is the first president and this is his first meme coin. It's tongue in cheek. But then once you see like everybody take those funds, take them out, run with it, and then go to Melania and then get rugged. Well, not rugged, but you can see what it is. So that's what it is. So Ben, what do you think here? Well said, guy. Ben, what do you think here as far as like Trump coin dominance? Where are we going to be? Sorry, is this good for us? Is there anything good for this? Let's go there.
I think it's probably true that it brings some new people in. But I hate that a lot of them get brought in on meme coins, because normally they just lose money. They get rugged, and it's kind of the people that were really, really early on that were able to get in and then sell it. And if it recovers, then hopefully those people can cash back out. But the only way it's going to recover is if new people come in and buy it, and then they'll probably end up being the bag holders. I think it kind of just shows that the asset class is still somewhat immature. If you think about it, you know, Bitcoin was created, what, like 16 years ago. So the industry, I guess, is still a teenager. And I suppose there's going to be growing pains associated with that. Um, I mean, I keep thinking, like, at some point, I don't know. I mean, I have no idea when it's going to be, but at some point, we probably need to go through a period where the asset class realizes that capital is misallocated and it needs to be allocated in a different way, because how else can the industry go? I mean, you know, we're so, like, it seems like this cycle, like, what has everyone been focused on, right? ETFs, meme coins, you know, a strategic reserve, like, that stuff is good, like, and all, but what about actual utility and creating value from something? And it seems like we're just focusing on ways to, you know, pump the bags rather than to make it so that crypto is actually useful for the everyday person. And then sometimes I'm like, well, this is it kind of feels like the industry went away from and this is going to sound kind of maxi-ish uh before I say it. Again, I do think there's value. I do think there's value in things besides Bitcoin, but it to some degree, it kind of feels like the industry has moved away from focusing on, you know, altcoins that pretend to have value to focusing on altcoins that don't even pretend anymore. And just say, you know, upfront, like, we have no value, or, you know, it's a meme coin. That's it. And you know, I mean, again, we'll probably go through a period where the market realizes that capital is misallocated, and I think it absolutely is, because if you're a developer, it's got to be so, like, just difficult to want to build in the industry, because you can pour your heart and soul into a project for 5 years. No one cares about it, you know?
Yeah.
They only care about the meme coin that was launched last night, and that's where all the money goes. So I think it's going to be hard. I mean, it's got to be hard for people to want to develop in the space, because, you know, and why? You know, why would you put yourself through all that just to watch all the meme coins outperform you in 24 hours? You know, they were talking about how Trump's, when he launched the meme coin, it had outperformed the S&P since, like, the 1980s or something. So it's one of those things where the industry is not really rewarding good things. It's more so rewarding bad things. And I mean, I don't know how long that's going to go on for. I didn't really expect Trump to do it, but then looking back in hindsight, I'm like, maybe we should have. I mean, it's probably not something that is completely out of left field for him to do. And I also think that, you know, this kind of happens every post-halving year, where the market starts to shift its focus from Bitcoin to other things, like other parts of the asset class. And that's usually what leads to the froth to kind of boil up, and then it leads to a correction in the market. And so it's kind of interesting that it's playing out. And we, you know, the topic a couple of weeks ago was the strategic reserve, and now the topic is just what meme coin is Trump going to launch next. I mean, it was a kind of 180 in the narrative. So I mean, it's probably, you know, it long, like, medium term, we're probably deal with some you know, misallocation of funds in the cryptoverse and sort of the realization of that. But who knows? I don't know when that's going to be exactly, but it should be, hopefully it'll help us to mature into an even stronger asset class on the other side of that.
Yeah, well said for both of you. I think Guy, what else you got there?
Well, I was just going to add on to it's interesting, you know, Ben sort of mentioning, well, two things. Firstly, Bitcoin maxis. I mean, I think now is probably a good time to be a Bitcoin maxi, because I think a lot of their thesis is being proved very correct. But yeah, and another thing Ben said, you know, about how you know, he didn't see this coming. And I remember, like, a month ago, we were working on our predictions for 2025, and you know, all sorts of, like, or, you know, thinking all sorts of sort of serious stuff, like, you know, which way is regulation going to go, what countries are going to adopt Bitcoin. You know, I just, and now I think of it, it's like next year or at the end of this year, I want to do a separate video to that, and I want to just sort of completely flip it, and just think of the 10 dumbest, stupidest, crassest things possible that I think are going to happen in crypto in 2026, and do my alternative crypto predictions, because like I just for the fact that I'd be really interested to see whether that was a way of calling some of this stuff. Do you know what I mean? Because I was thinking on my way, on my way back from the office today, I was like, if I'd thought about it, if I'd sort of gone into that mindset, could I have predicted something like this? Given that I've been around in crypto for a while, I've seen a lot of crazy stuff happen, like you guys have, like a lot of people watching have, and still, like every single week, it feels like some new bizarre thing happens, and you're just like, wow, I didn't see that coming. And so I'm really interested to see, like, if I put my mind to it, if I get myself in that mindset, will I be able to predict some of this inevitably stupid stuff that is going to happen in 2026?
That's going to be a tough one, but I can tell you that that's a video that's needed. And I will say, for all this stuff, and then we'll get into, is this is this cycle pretty much done for, and do we hit the top just because of this? But when I take a look at it, I just think to myself, you can't stop that. You can't stop meme coins. You can't stop gambling. You can't stop eating crappy, sugary food and getting fat and diabetes. I mean, you can stop it. It takes willpower. So, like, I think that we just went a little bit too far over here to gamble, and that's fine. You're going to gamble. There's a reason why Las Vegas exists. There's a reason why people love to do those things. So as long as we can understand and people kind of get to it, like, this is the whole point of the question, which was, there's no reason for Trump to go all the way to 13% by market cap, but the reason was because everybody degened into it. And once you do something like that, it eroded. I have no problems with people gambling, but it erodes essentially the market and what we can do, like you guys just talked about. So I think now, if we can go there and hopefully people learn their lesson as everything went that dump because of what happened behind the scenes, hopefully things can correct themselves and people can get into, like, oh, this is actually a good store of value. Oh, this is actually a smart contract and I can do different things on chain. Oh, this can help me with, decentralized physical infrastructure, or whatever that is. But I see it as, like, it's inevitable and it's going to keep happening. And until people learn their lessons, that's it. So hopefully the smart ones, the one that watch Ben's channel and Guy's channel, my channel, they can figure out that, say, hey, if I can gamble, I'll do like 2%, 1%, 5%, but the big majority should go into this. And that's it. I have no problems with you. Anyhow, that's a little rant for me. Let's go into the next topic, which talks about the cycles. On my channel, I don't know about you guys, but it seems like the majority, they understand, like, these things take time. But I've seen a lot of things creep in, and a lot of different people who've been on other channels, different guests, talking about, look, we're pretty much going to top out and it's going to happen soon, or we've already topped out. And the question is where are we in the cycle? And if we're going to take a look back at, like, as far as like diminished returns, let me just steal this stuff. This is, and you can look at this anyway. And I know Ben's going to comment on this one, but if you take a look at Bitcoin market cycle peak ROI, so this was the second one. This was back in 2013, from peak to peak. So from 2013 to 2017, like a 17x, almost like a 20x. You went from like 1,000 to 20,000, right? And then for the next one, which was 2017, the peak to the top, it was diminished, right? Roughly, it went from, like, it did a 3.2x. And now if we take a look over here, peak 4 through 5, we started 2021. That was a good time, November 11th. And we are right here. But if we can see, here's the 2 cycles previously. Here's the last cycle. Here's where we're at. We don't have that much farther to go. Did we top out already? And if you take a look at, like, the craziness that's going, just take a look at the last answer we had for a sitting US president drops a meme coin and the first lady in 24 hours. If that's not a top indicator to go to Goblin Town, I don't know what else is. So what do you guys think? And Ben, I'll start with you.
You should throw that chart back up for a second and then click on April. Because you know how, like, back in 2021, a lot of people thought April was more or less the top, not November. You see that that tab at the top where it says 2021 peak?
Yeah, I clicked on April.
Oh, you already clicked on April.
Yeah.
Okay.
November, then April. Got it.
Okay. Yeah, like if you look at it like that, like April, it looks like that it's already a lot further along.
Mm.
But I would say this, you know, I think the hope is you know, the optimistic view is to just say, well, you know, hopefully we can just get a right translated cycle where you have a peak in Q4 of the post-halving year. That's what we had last cycle. That's what we had, you know, that's what we had in 2021, 2017, and 2013. So all the Bitcoin cycles have been right translated where it's a 3-year bull and a 1-year bear. There are times in history, not in Bitcoin's history, where there are times in stock market history, right, where you get left translated. What's fascinating about the markets is that the bottoms often occur in the midterm year, right? And that's basically the same thing with crypto. It's basically 2014, 2018, and 2022. But even if you go back and look at the S&P 500 in like the 70s during periods of high inflation, you'll find something very similar, right? You had bottoms in the midterm years. The only thing that really changed was when the tops occurred. The tops either occurred, you know, near the end of the post-election year or you know, around that time, or they occurred a full year before that. So right around where we are right now. So I think the market is trying to figure out, you know, is this a left translated cycle where the peak occurs, you know, now? Or is it, you know, is it a cycle where the peak occurs like a normal right translated cycle? I think the only two real things that could cause a left translated cycle, as we learned in the 1970s, was inflation reaccelerating and
Right.
or the unemployment rate accelerating. Until either of those start to accelerate, I still think, you know, there's always hope that the market could ultimately go back up, right? If either of those two things accelerate, then the market would get very spooked, right? And you know, so far we've seen headline inflation slowly go up like 0.1% every month for the last like 3 months or so. Market doesn't really care about that. But if it were to jump like say half a percentage point in a single print, that would be probably enough to really spook the market. Or if the unemployment rate were to jump, like, you know, if it were to just jump back up to like 4.4, 4.5%, that could be enough to spook the market. So I think, you know, I think everyone should be aware that left translated cycles are a thing. But I do think even with that in mind, even in the case of left translated cycles in the sort of in the year that the top is in, it's usually not obvious until, you know, like Q3 or even Q4. So because there's still going to be a lot of people, like let's just say we know it's a left translated cycle. Because there's going to
Yeah.
be a ton of people that are not going to believe that, there's still a really good chance that Bitcoin's price would still be relatively high even 2 quarters from now, right? Even if it were to drop, you know, even if it got like a 50% drop like it did in 2021, it would probably get a really big bounce after that because people are going to want to believe it's going to go on. So no one knows is the answer. If it is a left translated cycle, there probably would be a lot more evidence of it in the coming months to help people, you know, adjust their portfolios. The only other thing I'll say is, you know, anytime Bitcoin hits kind of like that 9 number, I always at least think it's a possibility, even if it's not the most likely possibility, because, you know, 2 cycles ago we peaked at 19K. Last cycle it was 69K, and so far it's 109. So if we can take out 109, then, you know, it obviously raises the limits a bit. I would say in order for a right translated cycle to still have merit, we would want to see Bitcoin push to 130 to 140 within the next 2 or 3 months. If it cannot do that, you know, if it cannot do that and it starts to fade in February or March instead of rally like last year, then that would be evidence for a left translated cycle. If it just gets another rally in February like it did last year and the year before, then I mean, it's just the same thing, right? It's just the same cycle behavior over and over and over again, and we're getting lost in the weeds.
Yeah, well, that's what we do here. Sometimes we get lost in the weeds. That's for sure. Guy, what do you got? Do you think we've topped out, or now are you a little bit more conservative nowadays, or do you feel like no, we got some time to go, and why?
I think we do have some time to go, but Yeah, I think there's definitely a chance that that time is running out a lot quicker than perhaps we anticipated. The reasons that I'm still kind of optimistic are that we've still got, I think, quite a lot to see from this new administration. I don't want to bang on about Trump again too much, but like, you know, there are still, I think there's still a lot yet to happen from, you know, from this administration as regards to crypto. For instance, with a bit of luck, SAB 121 will be, you know, will be approved, as in, you know, it'll go through like it was meant to last time before Biden vetoed it, which would allow banks to custody Bitcoin and people to borrow against, you know, borrow against their crypto. Like that is potentially huge. The question becomes, how much is the market already pricing that in? How much is the market already pricing in all these things that Trump has said? You know, clearer regulations around stable coins, for instance, which could, you know, so we're just in the middle of putting together a video on payment finance at the moment, which we think could be a big narrative this year. If we get stablecoin regulations, that could really take off, and that could truly bring crypto to the masses. But how long does this take? How much are these, you know, these potential tailwinds already priced in? And then, you know, it's interesting what Ben said about jobs as well. Inflation is obviously one thing, and I think obviously that's something that the Fed is obviously watching very closely. Jobs is an interesting one because I just wonder whether, or when, I should say, when we will start seeing the AI effect on the jobs market. And I don't just mean that in the US, I mean that everywhere. When are we going to start seeing figures that reflect, that tell us, oh, look, this profession is getting absolutely hollowed out because everyone, you know, all the companies operating in it have realized that AI is better at doing the jobs than people are. You know, that may sound like it's a further down the line, but I think it was the CEO of Klarna, that Swedish buy now, pay later company.
Yeah.
He was interviewed week 2 weeks ago, and he said they stopped hiring because they've realized that they can do, you know, that the AI can do these jobs. So they've stopped hiring. So when is this going to because this is coming. The only question is when. It might be a bit premature to expect data like that this year, but you know, it'll come sooner than a lot of people expect. And I wonder whether that will, you know, the first rumblings of that, if it's reflected in the figures, whether that might be enough to spook the markets and bring the cycle to a juddering, not halt, but you know, that will show us that the top is in.
Yeah. Can you first, like me and Ben were talking about this before he came in, AI taking jobs, and I said if the only jobs right now that I think are really truly safe are like blue collar worker jobs, things that I have to do today. I have to go replace a sink, and then I have to go replace a breaker, because that's the beauty of being a property manager and dealing with all the short-term and long-term rentals. But I said, when Elon Musk comes out and he can take that Optimus, his robots, the androids, and they can replace a sink, and they can, you know, replace everything else, all the jobs are gone. And but I don't know how far away we are with that. I guess that would just bring me to my next question, which is, and we'll go over this real quick, is macro stuff, my personal favorite. So we've got two things that came out: initial jobless claims this morning.
That's last week. That
was last week. Shoot, 23rd. I forget what I said then. So it doesn't matter. Anything new?
Yeah, it just came out today. Just reload it.
Let's see.
Tell you what, though, in relation to that, relation to your last point, Rob, for anyone watching, you guys will know when we've topped out and it's all over. It's when you book someone to do your garden, and there's a knock on the door one morning, and it's Ben, Rob, and myself standing there. That's when you'll know it's over. Just so you know, that's our backup plan. We're going into landscaping.
Not landscaping advice. Exactly. So what do we think here with like the jobless claims? It looks like there was a little bit of a, this is still 8:30, 9:30. No, that's still not updated.
It is.
Or is this?
That's right.
This is January. Oh, yeah. 217,000 was previous. The expectation was 221,000. We got 223,000. So what does this do for the macro event? And what does this do for the next Fed meeting on the 28th and 29th? Anything? Any rate cuts in general?
Probably not any major changes if I had to guess. I mean, claims are still relatively low. I mean, 223. I mean, it also, we saw claims go up. I mean, they normally start to go up around in January a little bit. They did the same thing last year. So I don't think it's going to do anything. I highly doubt the Fed's going to cut rates unless something catastrophic happens between now and then.
Yeah, makes sense. Okay. And it's just, I always like to ask this question because it seems like last time when we had the non-farm payroll and that came out and it was like exceeded expectations, everybody flipped out. And then all of a sudden we had CPI numbers. Of course, CPI came out like, I think it was 0.1% below the expectations. And everyone's like, okay, bull runs back. So now I like to get like opinions on just the very minute things because it seems like the market, I don't know, maybe it's just a narrative that people like to push forward, and that's the reason, like we talk about. Is that the narrative or just the market being the market?
Well, I think again, like, you know, this weekly data, it's not going to really have a ton of relevance because, I mean, you would have to see it happen over multiple months of higher and higher claims. I don't really think the claims are that big of a deal until they're over 300K. As long as they're below 300K, I don't really think the market is going to care. And so I would argue it's sort of just, you know, getting lost in the weeds, right? You know, every correction doesn't necessarily have to be, you know, but I think that's kind of where the market is right now is, you know, we're trying to figure out why is it not going up. But I mean, 223,000, even though it's higher than last week, it's still relatively low, you know?
So when do we start working, gentlemen? Or when do we start worrying about this? 300?
I think when it's above 300K is that's when the labor market would be showing weakness. But until, I mean, it hasn't reached 300 yet.
Yeah. All right. See how it goes. And then lastly, before we get into the little Q&A, and before we start this, guys, if you have questions, I see a couple and I'll star them. But the last thing we're going to talk about is the things that Trump came in office. And I got to tell you, I was kind of surprised because usually politicians do not keep their campaign promises. They just don't. But he did say within the first day, and of course people in the chats will say, well, it wasn't his first day, Rob. It was a second day. Okay, well, I can counter that with it was his first full day, whatever. He actually freed Ross Ulbricht. And depending on what your opinion is of him, I just don't see how you can have a life sentence for selling the stuff that I can get right down the street here in Puerto Rico. I mean, I can't get all this stuff, but I can definitely get marijuana. I can definitely get volume. And I can definitely, I'm pretty sure I get MDMA and honeycomb wax and all this stuff. So what does this say here for what he did? And then how's this work moving forward as far as like keeping campaign promises, and can he do it? So Guy, what do you think?
Sorry, I was just digesting all the things that you were able to get, Rob. I'll send you an order later. Yeah, I mean, well, we talked about this last week, didn't we? It's like this was the easiest one of his promises to make good on, and he did. The thing I found interesting about it was that there was that Truth Social post that he put out, wasn't it, where he said, "Oh, I phoned Ross Ulbricht's mother and told her that I'd be pardoning." And actually, it was another interesting thing. It was a full pardon, I think, because I think he'd actually initially promised. He just said he would. Or free Ross or commute his sentence, I think it was. But actually, this was a full pardon. So he actually went one better, as I understand it.
Right.
But at the end of that Truth Social post, he was saying something along that he had a real crack at the people who'd put Ross Ulbricht in prison, you know, who'd been responsible for it, and sort of saying that they were some of the people who'd tried to get him, Trump, locked up. And I thought that's an interesting angle to take, isn't it? It made me think. It's like, how much is this, you know, a thank you to the crypto community, a nod to the libertarian and Bitcoin communities, who, as he, you know, said, have been very supportive of him, and how much was this kind of settling a score with you know, certain arms of the US law enforcement complex. You know, I just thought it was odd that he worded it the way he did. But we shouldn't look a gift horse in the mouth, because, like you say, you know, whatever you think of Ross and what he did, I mean, he's been in prison now for 10 years, over 10 years. I think he was arrested in 2013.
Exactly.
So, you know, I think that time that he served is probably time enough, you know, for the crimes that he committed, and many would argue that it's way too much. But yeah, it just, I mean, the fact that he was sentenced to 2 life sentences plus 40 years, I thought that was obscene. And, like, you know, when someone like Sam Bankman-Fried, okay, it's different things, but, you know, gets 25 years. That's a long time, but he knows he'll be out then. It just, yeah, it certainly feels like it's righting a wrong.
Yeah. And it really comes down to this. It just comes down to, I think it was a show of power to say, like, hey, if you want to do anything like this, this is what's going to happen to you. So we're going to make this guy the poster child. But there is one comment here as we get into the Q&A. Steven says, wow, look at the price of a gram of DQ today. It would cost me a few cents. I got to tell you, inflation is heavy. But look at this. Look how inflation is from 2013. It would cost you 23 Bitcoin for some MDMA rocks. And Valium, diazepam, 2.5 Bitcoin. Wow, that's crazy. Anyhow, Ben, what do you any thoughts on Ross and how this all what this means for us?
I mean, I think it's just you know, it's one of those campaign promises, and it's probably one of the easier ones to to kind of stick with, you know, to do. If you promise something like that and then don't do it, that's a really easy way to make a lot of people mad. So I think it was just a relatively easy thing for him to do to keep that promise. Yeah, I don't really have a strong opinion on it other than that. I mean, I think Guy was right. I think to a large extent he's just trying to please, you know, the crypto holders, the libertarians. I think there's a lot of that going on, and I mean, I also think he's trying to show that he's getting a lot done really, really early on. You know, within the first few days, he's trying to get a lot done. I think to try to, you know, potentially, you know, highlight his how he's different than the prior administration. I think that's what he's trying to do right now.
Yeah, and it's working out. I mean, I got to tell you, if there's anybody, I know some people really wanted Trump to win. Some people wanted Trump to win. Some people wanted Kamala Harris to win. Some people really wanted Kamala. But can you imagine Ross Ulbricht's family and his mom? I mean, how much they were pushing for that? Because they're like, this is our only chance. If not, our son's going to be in jail for the rest of his life. So congratulations to them, because that, I think, is really commendable. All right, everybody. So that concludes everything for NFA. Let's go into a couple questions. We'll get these guys out of here. They have a lot of things going on. So let's see. This one, talk about the Bank of Japan interest hike. Was that recent or that just happened? I'm not following this one.
I think it's tomorrow. I can't.
Yeah,
it's either today or tomorrow. I can't remember honestly, but I know it's coming up relatively soon. I think the last I checked, there was a pretty high probability they were gonna hike rates, like a 90% chance. So it's probably
not surprising.
I would guess they're gonna hike rates.
Yeah.
Oh, this was a good comment. Over the last 3 years, NVIDIA and MicroStrategy have gone up 15 or 20x. Bitcoin has only gone up 7. Is that? I know MicroStrategy has done quite well, and NVIDIA has been a skyrocket. I mean, first of all, I think you guys both own MicroStrategy. I thought. No, not your guy. Any stocks, any equities?
I don't own any stocks or equities at the moment. I had some stocks when I left the UK, but I had to sell. I had to sell out of that, close my ISA, which was annoying. Yeah, I like NVIDIA is one of those. Well, you look at NVIDIA and you think, oh, it's obvious why that's done well. MicroStrategy, like I was never kind of tempted to buy that, because I always just thought, well, it's a proxy bet on Bitcoin. I'd rather just own Bitcoin, which is what I did. You know, I bought Bitcoin, but to be honest, like, yeah, okay, MicroStrategy's seen the better returns over the last 3 years. That's fine. What would I rather hold for the next 3 years, for the next 10 years, for the next 30 years? Bitcoin every single time. So I don't I don't look at MicroStrategy's share price and go, damn, I missed out on that. I bought Bitcoin. That's fine for me.
I honestly, I don't even look at it anymore because I'm just like, ugh, it doesn't really until we get to all-time highs. This would be a good question for both of you. The only shining light for alts right now is ETF apps of XRP, Solana, Litecoin, and Doge. Here's the question: if you're going to get into altcoins, like which ones do you get into? Do you get into these ones that are ETF, or do you get into the ones that have been, as they say, the made in America altcoins, so they can get the tax exempt status? But are you just going to go? Because I know, like, I mean, I own a lot more altcoins I think you guys do. And then Guy comes in second place, and Ben is distant third. But do you do any altcoins besides just the small amounts you guys have, or get into these? I would say, based on ETFs.
I don't think it's based on ETFs.
What's that? Go ahead, Ben.
I was gonna say I think it's more so just based on how they're doing on their Bitcoin pairs. That's what I would base it on. And I mean, both Solana and XRP had rallies after they hit double bottoms on their Bitcoin pairs. Litecoin just it's bled a lot over the years because it hasn't really been able to put in a double bottom on its Bitcoin pair. So I think it more so has to do with that. I think you could argue that if it's doing well against Bitcoin, then it's probably going to keep doing well. It's one of those things where assets that are doing well are more likely to keep doing well. So like if an altcoin is doing well against Bitcoin, it's more likely to keep doing well against Bitcoin than an altcoin that's not, right? So a lot of people try to figure out what's the next alt that's going to do well against Bitcoin. But you're usually just better off sticking with the alts that are already doing well against Bitcoin and not trying to predict the next one that's going to do well. So I think it's probably based on that. But I do think if there are ETFs launched for them, I think that would be a good thing for them for sure. As we saw what happened with Bitcoin after its own ETF launched.
Oh, gotcha. Sorry. Okay, so Guy, what do you got?
I kind of agree with that previous comment. Like we're in a difficult time for alts at the moment. It's either Bitcoin, which everyone understands the fundamentals of, and can and has the support of these massive ETFs and the president, or it's meme coins, which kind of, again, in a way, I think everyone kind of understands the fundamentals of, because there are no fundamentals. And has the support of the president, but yeah. So obviously, I think what all of us in crypto are wanting to see at the moment is some sort of move away, not necessarily from Bitcoin, but certainly, we're going to have a move away from Bitcoin because there's so much capital locked up there.
Sure.
But a move back to speculating on alts that may have some utility. And this is the thing. Like it's like what you were saying earlier, Rob, or maybe it was Ben. The frustration of people trying to build something useful and seeing meme coins fly, and it's like, well, yeah, I'm building this protocol that no one cares about, but could actually be really cool if people did. And that's what alt season will look like. That is the alt season we're all waiting for, whether or not we're going to get it. I still think there's a good chance, but certainly the cynical mood that I think the market is in right now, it's like, well, it's Bitcoin or complete shitcoins. We seem to be quite far away from that middle ground.
I don't know if you guys are. I don't know if you guys are following this, but on X or on Twitter, I guess Senator Cynthia Lummis has been talking about some big announcement coming in 15 minutes at 10 a.m. So a lot of people are speculating that it's about a strategic reserve, and you can see Bitcoin is back at 105K right now. So we'll see. We'll see what happens in about 14 minutes, what the announcement is.
That would be interesting. Yeah, let's.
Okay.
Yeah,
Who's
but
Richard Simmons? Is that he must be an American thing?
Let me show you. Delamille.
I hope this is going to be
Richard Simmons.
Who the heck is that?
Hey, don't laugh. Hey, in the 1980s, this guy got a lot of people in shape. So anyhow, this was
he was a fitness influencer in the 80s, was he? Okay.
Yeah, he was. You trust me, not missing much. But you know, to talk about this like real quick about you know, like we talk about meme coins. It's almost like the super healthy vegan restaurant that opens up down the street, and they have great food, they have great management, they have great people that serve you food. Prices are you know, great. And then they look across the street and they see McDonald's with a line around the block. And they're like, how'd that happen? It's the same thing right now, I think, with like layer 1s, layer 2s, and different crypto projects. You're like, how can I get that? And I just saw Trump coin and Melania coin do billions of dollars. Amazing. Let's see. Bitcoin's up 5%. Ivan says, this is strange. I'm tired of every crypto channel speak only for Bitcoin. You got to follow. I mean, well, honestly, Ben just did a video on Cardano dubious speculation, and Guy did a bunch of great different videos on AI agents. So just watch those guys. Most of the people like me are into the alts. If some alt is mentioned, it's always memes. Please, Guy. You know what? There is something to be said about that. I think just because Trump and Melania token was such a big thing, I don't do a lot of meme coins. I think after today, we'll probably move away from most of that stuff unless, I don't know, Baron Trump drops a token or something. Let's see. Wait for 10 a.m.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are waiting to see what the announcement is.
Is this show live? It certainly is. Well, I mean, I think there are some interesting alts to be looked at, aren't there? Because like all this talk about Trump's meme coin, and obviously, you know, all the talk about Bitcoin as well. But one of the things that's interesting is that World Liberty Financial, this DeFi project that is associated with Trump, you know, they've been buying a lot of meme coins. They've been buying a lot of ETH. They've been buying a lot of stuff like Aave, I believe, Ondo. I think someone mentioned that in the comments. I think they bought a lot of Link. And again, that's another thing. That's another one of these things that kind of makes me bullish, albeit in a cynical way. It's like, well, okay, like we kind of have evidence for the fact that these aren't just words that Trump has had for the industry. Like this guy owns a heck of a lot of crypto. He's a whale, you know. So why wouldn't he be looking to create an industry, you know, or create an environment whereby that asset class that he happens to own a ton of, why wouldn't he create an environment where that can thrive? Like, am I, you know, am I mid-curving it here or what? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think that's pretty much well said. But I was sorry, I got distracted by reading all this stuff, and yeah, it's amazing how fast things move up.
Yeah. See? maybe. Yeah, I mean, we're at 106. We were at what we were at when we started the stream? 102.
101, 102.
Yeah.
101. Well, I think you're welcome, everyone. It was obviously because of the stream.
Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah, it's all us. It's all of us.
Happy to help, guys. Happy to help.
The landscaping advice we gave earlier. Let's see.
People are so horrified at the thought of us having to give it all up and go landscaping. They've decided to pump the market. Yeah, it's but isn't it funny how, like, you know, how sentiment will just shift. This is the thing, like it's so wild. This is why being in crypto is so exhausting. You know, it's like last week it was all great, wasn't it? We had the inauguration to look forward to. Bitcoin had crossed 100K again, and now it's up until 5 minutes ago when we got this fresh bit of good news, or supposedly good news, just something to grab onto. All of a sudden, you know, people have sort of coming out of their trough of despondency. You know, it's like, oh, it's all good again. You know, all the season's back on. And tomorrow, you know, if this news doesn't deliver, if Cynthia Lummis is just announcing that she's changed the furniture in her office or whatever, everyone will be like that. Right, that's it. Alt season over. It was fun while it lasted. See you in 4 years, guys. It's so over. It's so over. It's so over. We're back. We're so back. It's over. We're so over. You know, it just goes round and round and round.
This is the schizophrenia market that we live in. That's just how it goes.
Yeah.
I'm announcing my plan for Lummis coin. That could be it.
Someone,
So funny.
that's what people are joking about on Twitter. That's just going to be a meme coin or something. But imagine the rug. Imagine the rug. That's what it is.
Dude, this
there's
would be
no way. There's no way she would. There's no way she would say stay tuned for 10 a.m. just to do that. I can't imagine. It's not. It can't be that. I refuse to believe that that's what it is.
I don't know, man.
Please, Satoshi, please, God, don't let it be that. Oh my word. MEMECOIN.
For the sake of crypto.
That would be it's like, oh, they've got Lummis as well. Crypto Mum or whatever she was called. It's like not Cynthia too.
I mean, you would think if she's gonna tweet something like that, it would be about a strategic reserve, right? Maybe at the state level or even at the national level. You would think, right? I mean, like you would if you're her and you're writing something out like that, you have to know what your audience is going to think, you know. So if it's not that, I feel like it would be it'd be kind of like a rug, you know.
That would be
fitting.
But you know what?
Grandson has got hold of her phone or something. It's like, oh, sorry, everyone, my phone was hacked. It was like, oh God.
Or it could be. I could see it being like introducing a bill or something. You know, it could be something like that. Like, you know, a pro crypto thing. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah,
we'll see.
I mean, I haven't seen the tweet. So I mean, was it sort of aimed at the crypto? You know, was it hashtag Bitcoin or something? I mean, maybe it could be a bill about something completely unrelated to crypto. You know, she's a politician after all. She's got other stuff on. What does it say? Stay tuned for 10. I mean, that could be anything.
No, guys, it's not us. Everything's about us.
No, exactly. Of course, it's the strategic reserve. What else could it be? It's like, oh, I'm campaigning to lower the speed limit in Wyoming to 50 miles an hour to you know, to prevent all the moose deaths that we've been having on the roads there or something. It's just like, oh my word.
A strategic meme coin reserve.
which starts with Trump, Melania, and Barron. Oh, official Lummis token coming.
I mean, I don't feel like we can end the stream until after the news comes out. So
I know.
Oh, SAT 121. Maybe that might be it.
That would be great.
That might be it.
You know, I have PTSD from the days of Celsius and Voyager and FTX and such, especially for loans. And I had Jerry Hall on yesterday, and he was talking about how this, you know, like Guy, you said, SOB 121 would be great because the banks will actually be able to custody it and you can do loans. And I'm like, who cares? I've done loans before, it didn't work. He goes, no. He goes, just like how you have like 15 and 30-year loans for your real estate, it's because the bank doesn't go out and reassess unless there's a major, enormous shift, which even then it'd have to be unprecedented. He goes, so imagine you could put in Bitcoin at 108,000. And even though it shifts in the market, it doesn't take away from like you getting margin called. So I'm like, oh, that'd be pretty good. But then I thought to myself, if it does that, and we are stuck with the 4-year cycles, let's say it goes to 150, and then we return right back down to sub 90. So I'm like, wouldn't it just be? Well, I guess if I guess you couldn't take the valuation of your entire Bitcoin out. It would have to be like 2 for 1. So if you're at 120, you can only take 60. I just see a lot of problems with doing that. But if they do pull it off and people can borrow against their Bitcoin, it's a whole new era. So we'll see.
Yeah. As people are pointing out in the comments, the previous tweet was big things are coming and it's capital B Bitcoin symbol. So yes, you're right. You're right. Comment people. It is Bitcoin related. It's nothing to do with speed limits in Wyoming.
I told you it was about us. Everything's about us.
Yeah. Everything's about us.
It's B for Ben Cowan.
Does anybody know
Ben
how you
Cowan
can
is
make
going
that?
to be announced as the new Treasury Secretary?
I'd vote that way. I got a direct line to the Treasury Secretary. That'd be perfect.
Yeah.
How do you make that? How do you make that font actually for the B? That'd be pretty cool. I didn't know you could do that.
I used to know how to do that, and I've forgotten.
You can probably just copy the symbol on anything and then just paste it onto Twitter on the
Yeah.
Bitcoin
That's a
is
good
amazing.
catch. I didn't even see the Bitcoin symbol on that. So yeah.
Yeah, I only noticed it because everyone in the comments was pointing it out.
Yeah, wisdom of the crowd.
You would think it's got to be about Bitcoin.
Well, if it isn't, put it like this: if it isn't, it's the biggest rug yet.
Yeah,
we'll find out in 3 minutes, right?
She has single-handedly pumped the market big time. So it's like, Cynthia, you better deliver.
You better not pull a Justin Sun and say, "Hey, this is an announcement for an announcement."
Yeah, and it better be Bitcoin. It better not be Bitcoin Cash or any of the other Bitcoin forks, which let's face it is unlikely. But yeah.
Oh, you guys are right. You just do it like you just do a copy paste. Big news. Very nice.
Yeah.
Oh, well, that's good. So I guess we'll see. And let's see. What's her name? Yeah. All right. Well, that was a good episode. All right, everybody. So now I guess we'll stick around for a couple minutes. As if Ben and Guy have nothing else to do.
I do actually have to go on another live stream. Oh. I'm joining. I'm due to join Jess on a live stream with Binance in 2 minutes.
Jess, so, I haven't heard from her in a long time. How's she liking the Binance situation?
I think she's loving it. I think she's enjoying it very much. But well, I'll ask her. I'll ask her when I'm on the stream. But yeah, I'm gonna have to go and join her for that. But well, let's hope that next week all we can talk about is whatever great piece of news Cynthia Lummis is about to announce. And there'll be none of this talk of is the cycle done? It's like we're so back.
Which is perfect. So we're so back. We get to do it on your channel, Guy, and everything will be roses and rainbows and unicorns and Lambos and moons. This will be perfect.
As the saying goes, right? The bears sound smart, the bulls make money.
That's right. That's exact. Yeah, that's it.
All right, it's almost 10. I mean, it should. I mean, whatever the announcement is, it should be any second. So.
Yeah. Well, let's see. We actually started late too.
But Guy, if you need to leave, go ahead and feel free to head out.
Yeah.
I'll leave you guys. I'll leave you guys for the live watch along. Yeah, let's just hope it's not a meme coin.
Yep.
It could be. All right. Well, tell hi to Jess for us. Good luck at Binance.
Will do. Good to see you, everyone. Thanks for joining. See you on more Coin Bureau next week.
Yep, more Coin Bureau, which is a pretty good channel. I like him when him and Nick do the live streams on Mondays. It's pretty interesting.
I'm just watching the price of Bitcoin. I'm like, it'll probably tell us what the news is.
That's true. Hey, do you have minute candles? Can you pull up like candles like on like the 5 minute, the 1 minute?
Yeah.
That even helps you.
Well, I mean, right now, let me see if I can.
Are we at 106 yet? See, that's not right.
We're at 105.
There's the announcement. Burp.
Well, I don't know that they've made the announcement yet.
Someone knows something, Ben.
Well, it's still at 105 right now.
All right.
That.
What?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't see anything yet, unless the announcement's not coming from her page, but somewhere else.
How many times? Here's the question: how many times people are refreshing Senator Cynthia Lummis's feed on Twitter right now?
That's a really good way for her to boost her follower count.
I gotta do. Yeah, that's really good actually.
She's literally gaining like 100. Like every time I refresh her page, she's gaining like a decent amount. Like she's gaining hundreds per second right now.
Oh, very nice. Good for her.
Yeah, every time I check it, it's like another 200 to 300 people are following her. Yeah, she literally gained 1,000 people within the last like 10 seconds.
Followed by Billy, Smart Money Crypto. Oh, very nice.
Well,
Jeez. You know what'll happen, Ben? We'll be like, all right, well, this isn't gonna happen. And as soon as we break, then it'll be.
what
Hey,
is
there it is.
what do the betting markets say? Aren't they usually pretty accurate? Maybe they know.
That's a good point. Polymarket.
Polymarket says that there's only a 43% chance that the reserve will be created in the first 100 days.
I'll take that. You know, a couple of days ago, we had it at, it was like 80% shot that Ross Ulbricht would be pardoned. And I was like, you know, I could take that bet. I'll put my little bit on there. But I didn't. That's more for my friend Bobby. Let's see. Reserve.
I would
wow.
think that she's going to tweet whatever it's going to be.
Yeah.
One would think.
One would say, but I'm telling you, it's gonna be one of those things where it's gonna be like, yeah, we're gonna do this at 10, then like at 10:30. Okay, here it is. Bada.
Yeah, I feel like it's either going to be. I feel like there's not going to be a middle ground. It's either going to be really good news, and we're going to see Bitcoin get a big spike up, or it's going to be a huge letdown, and we're going to be back at 102, 103 in a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. And someone just reminded me, blue ball, guys, blue ball. No. It was 10 a.m. Wyoming time. That's true. Wyoming, I think we're on Mountain Time. So that's.
Do you think she's on? Okay.
Aha. See, we'd be sitting here for a full hour. Let's see.
I feel like normally
Wyoming.
when people talk, they're just in the United States when they're giving a time, they're usually using Eastern.
See, that's not it. So we got 2 hours to go. And of course, what a great, like you said, Ben, what a great way to do a little farm engagement. Do that for 2 hours, everybody refresh. Bam.
Yeah, if she's doing it for 2 hours, it's a great way for her to pump those numbers up.
I'm gonna put a tweet out.
She's gained 10,000 followers in the last like 5 minutes.
Oh, jeez. Oh man. All right, everybody. It's gonna be another 2 hours or so. So I mean, you can go bet on it over on Polymarket if you're a degenerate gambler, like I think some of you are, or you can just kind of sit back and relax and wait for the announcement to come. But Ben's got stuff to do. I got stuff to do. So that's it for this one. So again, thanks. Check out Ben's channel. And for Pete's sakes, I mean, get into the Cryptoverse, the site. There's a lot of free stuff, but links in the description. That's what I'm using. Let's go from there. Anyhow. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you guys on Guy's channel next week. Adios.